What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We definitely have a bit of a different video today for you guys. It's something I've never really done on this channel before. It's something I'm pretty passionate about. I just have never really brought it into the YouTube space. The market's pretty saturated on these types of videos, but something happened the other day, and I was like, you know what? Let's give this a try. I was contacted by SonicElectronics.com and CarSponsors.com. They offered me a sponsorship, and you know, who can say no to a sponsorship, especially to someone like SonicElectronics.com. If anybody, you know, has ever been into any sort of car audio before, you've definitely been on the Sonic Electronics website before. They are awesome. Their prices are always, you know, incredible compared to other places. Their customer service is always really good, and I've used them over the years. And a lot of YouTubers, you know, when they start talking about their sponsors, they sound like they're reading from a script, and you know, you can tell that it's kind of forced. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you up front right now. If I ever say that I'm sponsored by somebody and I'm showcasing any of their products or their services or whatnot, just know that I use them and I mean it. You know, I'm not reading from a script right now. I'm just giving you the God's honest truth. I've used them before. I've used them a lot, and I really like them. And so when they reach out to me, you know, at first I was like, you know, they're just kidding. You know, there's no way. I've got less than 1,000 subscribers, but no, they were serious. They've already hooked me up with some products, and one of those products we're going to unbox here in a minute. We're actually going to install this product into a vehicle, and we're going to see how it sounds, and I'm going to give you guys my God's honest opinion of it. They didn't ask me for good reviews. They're not forcing me in any way to give them a good review. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. And this product is pretty cool. It's been on the market for a while, and it's by a company that I'm sure you guys have heard of before, NVX. What a lot of people don't know about NVX is the owner of SonicElectronics.com is the owner and founder of NVX. Their equipment is really good quality. It's really good sound quality equipment. The prices are really good. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily consider them a budget option, but compared to some other super high-end brands, man, they really hold their own. And this product I have today is a set of 6.5 components. It's their X Series 6.5 component kit. It's a two-way kit. It's a 6.5-inch mid-bass driver and then a 1-inch tweeter. I've heard these before. I've never actually owned a set of these. So when they offered these up, I was like, yes, I want to get a set of these. These would go perfect in the doors and up on the dash of my 69 F100. And I have actually been looking for a set of 6.5s for this. And that's actually how this deal came about, was because I was looking for that. And then, you know, kind of reached out to them. They got back with me and I was like, you know what? This is perfect. We're going to 3D print some mounts for the doors and some tweeter pods for up on the dash. I'll show you guys a little bit of that process, and we're going to get them in the truck and, you know, see how they sound. So yeah, let me get it set up here and we'll open the box and we'll see what we got going on here. Okay, here we go. Like I said, this is the NVX XSP65 kit. As you can see on the box, it comes with the 6.5-inch mid-bass drivers, the 1-inch tweeters, and their own crossovers. I actually haven't even opened this box yet. I mean, I know what's in here, and you probably do too. But let's take a look. Oh, wow. Right off the bat, first thing I notice, and I'm a stickler for this, they have covers over the speakers. These are plastic covers to protect them in shipping. Thumbs up to NVX for that, for sure. Wow, they also have this nice shadowed out foam here. Not some cheap styrofoam, you know. Again, thumbs up for that. Let's get one of these speakers out of here. Have a look. Oh, wow. Wow, I didn't realize that these are a carbon fiber cone. And not some carbon fiber look-alike either. This is real carbon fiber. Oh, nice good sized motor on the back. Got your standard spade terminals for your connections. Honestly, I kind of prefer these in this setup. I actually had somebody one time ask me why they don't use push terminals on door speakers, and quite frankly, it's to cut cost but I feel like this is a much more secure connection. And it's not like subwoofers where someone's going to be changing those out all the time, so the push connects are really nice in that space. But, you know, for this application, you know, that is more than enough. Looks like we've got yellow linear spiders. I'm not entirely sure what size voice coils in these. It appears to be an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter. Not that that's super critical on a door speaker. We have the tweeters here, which I need to get some measurements off of these so that we can 3D print these. It's a silk dome tweeter as far as I know. This particular kit, I'm sure it says here on the box somewhere. I'm reading off the top of my head, but they are 300 watts peak and 100 watts RMS for the pair, I believe it is. If it's not, I'll correct it here on the screen. But we're going to be putting these on a SCAR RP75.4 4-channel amplifier. We're going to be running these particular speakers, you know, on 2 channels. With the crossover and whatnot, for the tweeters, I don't have to run, you know, separate channels for the tweeters. More than likely, the other 2 channels on that 4-channel amp are going to be used for a set of 3-inch speakers up in the dash, which once we get in the truck, I'll show you what I'm talking about there. But I'm going to have these in the doors, tweeters up on the dash, 3-inch drivers up on the dash facing the windshield, just to try to create a nice front stage. There's not a lot of room in this old truck for any audio equipment, speakers, anything like that. As a matter of fact, this truck didn't even come factory with any sort of sound system. This was a factory non-radio truck. Like I said, it's a 69 F100, and it never had any radios. So, you know, everything that we put in was definitely not thought out by Henry Ford. So, you know, we're going to have to get creative. Like I said, we're going to 3D print some tweeter mounts for the dash. I'm working on the speaker pods for the doors. We'll go ahead and get those in the doors. Amplifier is probably going on a rack behind the seat. Probably won't show that install in this video because I'm not entirely sure how I want to do that amp rack yet, but we'll definitely hook it up and play these things and you know, do a sound quality test on them. I'm super excited about this. I really love technology, and putting new technology in an old truck, you know, just gets the juices flowing for me. So let's take a look at the speaker pods that we're going to print, and I'll do a time lapse of them printing for you guys, and we'll just get down to the meat and potatoes of this video and get these things in, and let's hear them. All right, here we go. Got the speaker pod installed in the door here. Just finished putting in the heat set inserts to be able to hold the driver into the enclosure. Of course, the enclosure is already bolted to the door. We're going to flip these panels over. We've got some closed cell foam here from Silas, just, you know, cheap Amazon stuff to put on the back side of this. These door panels bolt to the door. They had a little bit of a rattle before, so I'm really just using that as more of a cushion than a sound deadener. The door itself is sound deadened. I have 3 layers of just the cheap Killmat, Butyl, the 80 mil stuff in the doors, on the floor, firewall, roof, back of the cab, you name it, it's all sound deadened. But I'm trying out some of this closed cell foam stuff just to knock down a little bit more of the rattling and stuff. I mean, you know, it's a 56-year-old truck, you know. She's got some squeaks and creaks and whatnot, but we'll go ahead and get this driver loaded into the door. I've got the tweeter pods printing right now. As soon as they're finished, we'll go ahead and throw all this stuff in the truck. All right, here we go. Got the driver mocked up in here just to make sure that, you know, all the screws went in lined up and whatnot. I'm gonna obviously have to pull this back out because I gotta mount the panel to the door, run the wires and all that stuff. And like I said, we got to get the closed cell foam on the back of it, but I just couldn't take it any longer. I wanted to see how this looked. And honestly, I think it turned out fantastic. Now, one question I know I'm going to get is, am I going to put a grill over this? And to be honest with you, probably not. There's really no need for it in this vehicle. Once you see where the speaker's set down near the door and stuff, very little chance of anything hitting them. Not impossible, but like I said, very little chance. And I just don't want to block this beautiful carbon fiber weave that we got going on here. I really like this. It is nice and stiff. The dust cap is extremely stiff. I think this thing it's going to sound incredible. But yeah, there's only one way to find out. We got to get it in the truck. Got the tweeter pods all printed up. Tweeters installed in the pods. I'm actually pretty impressed with these. I went ahead and put some heat set inserts in both of these so that they can be mounted to the door with screw from the back side. I know I originally said at the start of this video that I was going to put these on the dash, but after thinking about it for a little bit, I think what I'm actually going to do is put them at the front of the door, kind of like you would in some of the more modern cars where their stock tweeter locations are. This truck does have wing windows, so they're not going to go in that little triangle, but they're going to go just below it and basically be pointed right back at the driver, and then of course on the other side at the passenger. We're going to mock that up and make sure that I like it first, but I want to kind of do it in the door for two reasons. One, my dash is pretty cluttered with gauge pods, switch panels, that sort of thing. Also, if I put these to the door, I can mount the crossover in the door, which was the plan all along, but it just saves me some wiring. I don't have to go back out of the door up to the dash and that sort of thing. All of the wiring for this can be contained inside the door. So yeah, so I think that's the way to go. If I don't like it, we'll change it, you know, it is what it is. So next step is actually just to load all this crap up in the doors. So here's what we got. Don't mind the mess in here. Been doing a lot of work in here. Did get the closed cell foam on the roof up here, 2 layers thick. Still have some left over. Working on getting everything figured out, you know, where it's going to go here in the door. I've got a pretty good idea. The speakers are going to set in the pods about right here in each door. As a matter of fact, this door is going to have to be trimmed just a little bit to clear it. I don't know why, but it's a little bit farther, a little bit farther from the front of the door to this opening on this door than that one. It's an inch different. Not really sure why. But like I said, tweeter is going to end up going up here for sure. And I was trying to figure out how to mount the crossover, and I think I've come up with something here. I hope so, because I've kind of already drilled a couple holes to test fit everything. But the crossover is going to sit here in the door facing backwards, and all I did was just, you know, drilled a couple holes right here, going to run some bolts through it. So basically what I'll have to do is kind of pre-wire this before I put it in there. But I wanted it in the door so that all my wiring is hidden inside the door. And I think I've accomplished that. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get some terminal ends on all of my wires and loosely run my speaker wire here in the door and go ahead and get the tweeter pod mounted. And then we can put the door panel back on and then do the same thing on the other side, and we're ready to hear this thing. Okay, so we moved over here to the passenger door first. Got the tweeter bolted to the door here. Just drilled a hole, ran a screw in from the back side. Wiring up the crossover right now. Wiring up the crossover is very self-explanatory. If you look here on the crossover itself, you've got your input positive, negative, your tweeter positive, negative, and your woofer positive and negative. So you just wire it up appropriately. The way I'm going to mount it, I kind of, you know, changed my mind in the middle of it here. I did some heat set inserts into the back of the crossover, and the crossover is actually going to be mounted in the door here. If I can get this wire to cooperate, just like this. with 2 screws coming in from the back side. So it'll be out of the way. It's out of the way of the window. Didn't even have to make a bracket, just punch 2 holes in the door. And, you know, it's as simple as that. So I'm going to get the rest of the wiring done. I just need to connect the pigtail that goes out to the woofer, and then I can bolt this to the door, and then I can bolt the door panel to the door, and then bolt the woofer in, and then we're ready to hear this thing. And I am so excited for this. All right, guys, we're in, we're hooked up. Don't mind this head unit. I actually went to test out these speakers, and when I turned the ignition on, that cheap Amazon head unit that I had in here literally would not turn on, and I have no idea why. I checked all the fuses. I checked the wires running to it. It had 12 volts. It had a good ground. It had a good constant, good switched ignition source going to it. Everything was fine. It just didn't work. I have no idea what happened. It's just piss poor timing, I would assume. So I just threw this Alpine, I think this is a UTE 73 in here. It's actually a really good sounding head unit. I'm probably going to leave it in here. I just need to 3D print a new adapter for the dash for it. But anyway, these things sound incredible. Now, obviously, I can't play you the music that I would like to play you for copyright reasons. So I'm going to turn it on. We're going to play some royalty-free music just to try to let you guys, you know, get a little bit of a feel for how it sounds. But I've got to say, this is just on head unit power. I haven't even hooked up the amp yet. But honestly, I'm really impressed with this. I might not even put an amp on it. I don't know. It's really clear, really crisp. The mid bass is nice and punchy and clean. Everything is just clean. I don't know how to convey this over video. And words don't do it justice. But anyway, let's go ahead and see if we can get something going here. Hopefully this thing will let me record and play at the same time. I don't know how it's 2025 and you can't do it with a freaking iPhone. I just never understood that, man. Let me play it. Oh, maybe it is. That's just a little sample. I know it's not much, but you know how YouTube gets about this copyright stuff. So I've got to say, I'm floored. I am honestly floored with how good these components sound. With that being said, I really want to give a major shout out to SonicElectronics.com and CarSponsors.com. This wouldn't have been possible without either of them. And as I said earlier in the video, I am sincere when I say that these NVX products are the truth. I've had a lot of different brands over the years, but just from this install, just the feel, the quality, the sound quality, it's just quality. I mean, that's the only way to describe this set of components is quality. And if the rest of their products are as good as this, now mind you, this isn't even their top of the line series. This is the series below the top. So there's better out there. I mean, this is a $150 set of components right now on sonicelectronics.com. There are far more expensive brands out there, and honestly, I think these would hold their own. So, I'm not going to ramble on and kiss their butts or anything, but like I said earlier in the video, if I give you an opinion, it's my opinion. No amount of money is going to make me try to sell you a product that I don't believe in, and I believe in this product. So with that being said, I'm going to get on out of here. I hope you guys, enjoyed the video. I hope everyone can like, share, and subscribe, get the algorithm tickled a little bit, try to get this spread out, get some exposure on it so people can see what we're working with here. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here, and remember guys, stock is never an option.